16 things SJWs and fourth wave feminists always say if you disagree with them. These are some common things that I notice SJWs and fourth wave feminists saying very commonly if you disagree with them, so I figured I'd make a handy video out of it so you know what to say back to them. Obviously, they will call you racist, misogynist, homophobic, transphobic, or ableist in some way. Usually this happens after you said nothing that would give any indication of that. If it is a feminist, she will probably call you sexist simply for disagreeing with her. In this situation, I find that it is usually best to tell her that she was actually the one being misogynistic by inserting her gender into the conversation unnecessarily. This will confuse her at first, but you can go on to explain that she brought up the notion that you must be disagreeing with her and not taking her seriously because she is a woman, which shows that she is rather insecure about her gender, which is the definition of internalized misogyny that they are so into talking about. If you say that to her, it usually stops them dead in their tracks. I'm not sure if I would recommend saying this type of thing when somebody calls you racist, though, but it's sure funny with feminists. Number 2, they will say, "It's not my job to educate you," which is one of the most irritating ones because you are never asking them to. The proper response is, no, it is your job to prove that you have educated yourself so you can be taken seriously. I did not make that one up, for the record. I can't remember who did, but they said people should feel free to spread it around, so spread it around. Number 3, they'll call you a bro as an insult, which is super annoying because it implies that being male at all is a bad thing, unlike calling a guy a dick, which just reduces him to his genitals and therefore is insulting because of that. While many people think that the proper comeback to a female feminist calling you a bro is to call her a cunt, I think it is better to call her Little Missy, because that's particularly absurd and just kind of funny. 4, they might say, "Either you're with us or against us," if you're trying to have a nuanced discussion about something. My favorite thing to say to this is, "Oh yeah? What are we gonna do? Play dodgeball? Have we set a date yet?" Number 5, they'll obviously call you privileged in some way or another. The best response to this really depends upon context, but the important thing at this point in time is to not play their game and try to prove somehow that you aren't privileged. Instead, you could say, "Well, I certainly consider it a privilege not to be brainwashed like you are, so thanks?" Number 6, they might tell you to listen to oppressed people when they tell you things, as if feminists or SJWs always tell the truth. Best response is usually to say, "That is exactly what I did for years, which is why I am now severely skeptical, because I realize how commonly these people lie." Number 7, they love to accuse people of speaking over marginalized people, to the point where they will insert that into internet comment threads, like that somebody is speaking over women of color, or something, like in a comment thread. The retort to this is pretty obvious. You should say, "Do you understand how the internet works? It is literally impossible to speak over somebody in a text comment thread section. I am reading everything she says, and my voice cannot drown hers out." Number 8, feminists love to accuse men of derailing discussions. As in, they do it so much that they will literally post a blog article about men, and then if a man disagrees with what it says, like he says, "Hey, we aren't actually like that," in the comment section, they will accuse the man of derailing a post in a feminist space. The comebacks to this are contextual, but if the subject you were talking about has anything to do with men, you should definitely say something like, "Okay, well then let's re-rail it back to the original subject, which was men." Number 9, if you ever give any statistics or instances in which men and boys are suffering in various different ways, feminists will call you an MRA, or even a menemist, because they don't understand that literally nobody identifies that way. I personally don't define as an MRA even, so if they call me that, I tell them that I don't like labels. They'll usually continue to label me that anyway, so I'll just start calling them a Christian missionary. You see, two can play at this game. If they get mad, I'll just say, "See how it feels, Mother Teresa?" Number 10, they'll accuse you of mansplaining, white-splaining, even cis-splaining, and they even said Bernie-splaining. I don't have a super humorous response to this, but never apologize in any way for this. Not at all. Instead, say something like, "Well, I suppose I come from the old school where explaining one's position in a discussion is considered a good thing." Number 11. They'll say that women can't be sexist towards men, or that black people can't be racist. There's not a super quick response to this that I can think of, but I usually say, "Of course they can. You're just saying that when it happens, you don't care." Number 12. They will accuse you of believing yourself to be colorblind. I guess the best response I can come up with to say to this is, I see people's skin color, but it's not the first thing I judge them by, which I assume is what you have a problem with. Number 13. They will accuse you of harassment for disagreeing with them. I don't know. Maybe tell them to go start a GoFundMe campaign? Number 14. They'll call you problematic and say you are spewing vitriol. Half the time this isn't true. Usually just ask them if they know what those words even mean. Number 15. They'll say reverse racism isn't real. And obviously you say, nobody said anything about reverse racism. It's just racism. Number 16. This is the last one I'm going to do for today. When you are discussing things with Black Lives Matter supporters and you try to offer constructive criticisms about how they could make their movement a bit better, it is very common that they will post a link or refer to this quote from MLK. I usually say something like, "This isn't the 60s, you aren't Martin Luther King, and the SJWs of the internet are not Black Panthers." Okay, well, that's gonna be all I'm gonna do for today. If you have any more commonly said things, why don't you post them in the comment section, and I will try to come up with some clever retorts. Alright, like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks, bye.